So again, we're so glad that you guys are here today and that you're spending some time with us, either getting to know Padlet for the first time, or maybe you know a little bit of Padlet and you want to extend your knowledge. But I know your time is precious, and so Wendy and I really appreciate you spending time with us today. Wendy, do you want to put bit.ly in the chat?
Yes, I was trying to get to it
Oh, okay.
But I think yeah.
If not, I can stop sharing and stick it in there. That would be helpful.
I am attempting to
grab it.
My drive. If you can get to it faster than I can.
I think I can. I meant to put it actually on the slide. And actually, I think that's what I'm going to just stick that on the slide for everyone too.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Nice. Screens have decided to do weird things here.
All right. All right, so there we go. This is the bit.ly, and Wendy can drop that in the chat for you all, but that will give you the presentation. Anytime you go to a presentation, you can always open it and then go to File and make a copy and rename it so that it lives in your drive, and that way you can come back to it later. So you may decide to do that. So again, we're really glad that you are here with us today. My name is Kendra Cameron Jarvis. I am the digital learning facilitator, and I serve primarily the Robertson district. And then I'm gonna let Wendy introduce herself.
Yes, I am Wendy Fusco. I'm the digital learning facilitator, just like Kendra is, but I predominantly serve the North Buncombe district.
All right, so real quick before we get started, everyone good on sound and video? If you're not, you can indicate in the chat or unmute yourself if you're having issues. We are also recording this. All right, so thanks, Loretta. We're also recording this, and we're going to put it on our YouTube channel so that it can be accessed later. All of the PD series that we're doing, we are recording. We're uploading them to YouTube. And in YouTube, underneath the video, you can click more information, and it gives you a description of the video, but now it will also give you a link for a quiz. So any of these PD series that you don't get to see face to face, you can always go back and watch them on YouTube. You can click on the quiz. It's usually a 3-question quiz about the training. And then once you get 100 on that, it will take you to My Learning Plan so you can get CEU credit. So we want to make it very easy for you to learn this year because everything's difficult. So you can come to these face to face or watch the recording. So today, the My Learning Plan link will be given to you at the end. All right, so we're going to utilize that chat. What I would like for you to do is in the chat, I would like for you to let us know if you've used Padlet before and how you've used it in your classroom. Or if maybe you haven't used it, maybe you've seen it used, and how have you seen Padlet used? So we want to survey you to kind of get an understanding of where you are in your knowledge of Padlet. So I see Loretta has not used it yet. Alfredo has not used it yet. Okay, so we've got some new users. So Carol Beth hasn't used it. Yeah, so she wants to learn how to use it. Awesome. And Anna has used it to interact with her students. And Padlet has been around for a long, long time. It's one of those oldies but goodies. It is, I like to think of Padlet as like a digital bulletin board. It allows sharing of ideas on a collaborative platform, which is really important, especially for that remote learning or that hybrid learning that a lot of us are going into. There are different modes that students can use to share their learning, from text to images to video, and there's more. It also allows for peer and teacher feedback, and their Padlets are very easy to share. So no matter what LMS you're using, you can share Padlet pretty easily. Wendy, do you want to jump in? Is there something that I forgot as far as an overview of Padlet?
The only thing I would add is that it's super easy for kids to use across platforms. So whether they're on iPad or they're on the laptop, they don't necessarily have to log in. You can password protect, you can make it private, kind of thing. But it's nice because students who don't have all their written skill abilities yet can still use it because they can record audio all the way up. And so it's a nice K-12 platform too.
Yes. I do want to say before we get into this, Padlet was free for a long time. They went paid last year. I pay for it just because I use it so much. I think it's $8. I think it's a month is what I pay. But you get, if you're a new user, when you sign up, which we'll get you to do that today, you'll get 3 Padlets, and then you can just reuse them. So we've done that a lot. So we just reuse the Padlets and remake them so that you don't have to pay the $8 unless you really want to. So this is how you're going to add a post to Padlet. So again, Padlet looks like a digital bulletin board, and you can customize the backgrounds. But when you go to a Padlet, and you're going to get the opportunity to do so in a minute, you're going to look for this pink circle with the white plus. It's usually in the bottom right corner. When you click on that, you'll see the little title image where most of the time I tell my folks to write their name. Now, this is the big thing. If you type your name in title, do not hit enter. If you hit enter, it will assume you're finished with your post and post it. So just take your cursor and put it below where it says write something, and that's where you can add your text. If you click on those 3 dots, these are the different ways that you can share your new knowledge. So you can add links, you can use your webcam and take a picture, you can make a short video, you can record audio, you can screen record, you can draw, you can add a location on a map, or you could link to another Padlet. So it's multimodal. There's lots of different ways, regardless of if your kids are struggling readers or maybe they're ELLs, they can share their knowledge as well, just because there's so many different ways, so many different types of sharing. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Hopefully you've opened your copy of this slide. We would like for you to take just a minute and click on this article. It's from Literacy World, and it talks about how to use Padlet as a collaboration tool. And then what we would like for you to do once you're finished with the article, it should just take you just a couple minutes to skim through it, is to go to this link here for a Padlet and add your new learning. Okay, so you're going to click on this article, and then you'll click on this Padlet. Oh, I think I have it here. And it opens up here. You're going to add your new learning here, and you're going to add any questions you have here. Now, this looks a little different. If you click on this little plus, that's where you're going to go ahead and add. Okay, so new learning. So I'm going to give you just a few minutes to skim through that article and then go to the Padlet and try it out.
And I did put the links, the direct links to the article and the Padlet in the chat.
Okay. I must set this little timer to go.
Kendra, I cannot open mine. It's just taking longer. It doesn't download.
Say it again.
Mine, it doesn't open. It just continued turning around and around and around, and it doesn't download mine.
Is it the article that you're having trouble or the Padlet?
No, the article. I cannot open it.
Let me see if I can grab the link. And I'll stick it in the chat. Let's do that. All right. Yes, Carol, that. I felt like I had used Padlet with you before, so I'm glad that you remember.
It's not responding, Kendra.
It's not responding.
No.
Huh. Can you open the Padlet, Anna?
Let me just go back again.
See if you can open the Padlet, and if you can, go ahead and just put questions that you have.
I don't have any question right now.
Okay, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I wonder, that's weird that it won't open.
I have a question.
Yes.
How can I write my name in the post?
So let me go here. If you click on the plus, do you see where it says title?
Yeah.
That's where I usually have my students type their name. If you are signed in with Google, it will pull that name like it does here. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah. So if I go here, let me see. Here. Oh, no, it's not here. How can I edit my, oh, here. If I edit it, can I don't see a way to write my name.
I usually tell my students to type it in the title.
Yeah, but I don't see the title here.
So if you click on the three dots and you choose
Yes.
edit. Oh, I see what you're saying. You can type it anywhere. You can type it anywhere.
Okay, so
Or
I can tell my students to write their name like after the post, for example.
Yeah, as long as they've written it somewhere so you know who that post belongs to.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't like when they post something anonymous.
Yeah. And in the settings, and we'll look at that later, you can, as long as they're using Google, it should pull in their name or their information.
Okay, like here, Kendra.
All right. So hopefully you've learned, I think some of you learned some new pieces about Padlet from that article. And hopefully you now know how to add something to a Padlet. You've had that opportunity to do so. What we wanted to do is let you look at some different ways that Padlet can be used in classes. And these are just some different ways that you'll see in this graphic that other teachers have used Padlet for. A lot of teachers just use it like as an entrance or an exit ticket, or in the middle of their lesson, just to gauge if kids are understanding what they're teaching. They'll have them open a Padlet and post to it. So that's how most teachers use it, but there's a lot of different ways that you can use Padlet. So this is an article, and if you click on the link, it's going to take you to the blog post. I'm going to also put that link in the chat. And what I would like you to do is just skim through that article. I'm going to put this in the chat, skim through the article, and come back with one way that they mentioned that you might try Padlet in your classroom. So I'm going to put this in the chat. Stop sharing. All right, so that is the link to, let me do it again. Blog. All right, there it is. So there's a link to the blog, and this should take you to Matt Miller's Ditch That Textbook. And again, we just want you to kind of look at some different ways that teachers are using it and come back with one way that you might like to try to use it. So we're going to give you just a couple minutes to look through this. Let me know if you have any issues. Okay, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. You can either use the chat or you're welcome to unmute, whatever you would like to do. And just share one of the ideas or an idea that you've had of how you think you might use Padlet in your classroom.
I honestly like the option for the whiteboard now that we are synchronized learning.
Yes.
The club, because I have the Spanish club and I'm really, that's a great idea to have the updates when we are meeting and everything instead of start texting individual. And the introductions in the beginning of the year, because if we continue online, these people, they don't talk, they don't know each other, especially commerce. So this is a great idea, really.
Yeah, so when I've taught several total online classes where students don't get together physically. And that is how I allowed them to introduce themselves. I had them make a short video with specific things that I wanted them to share. And then they posted on the Padlet, and I embedded the Padlet inside the learning management system. And that was how they got to know each other. So that's a great use of Padlet there. So Loretta said that she liked the honor walls idea. Loretta, can you tell us a little bit more about that one?
It's in the first link under the Ditch That Textbook.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggle with building community within my classes. So I thought if in Canvas or somewhere we had an honor wall, and that when somebody just really did outstanding work or they sent a really funny meme or whatever, I could pop it in there and just give them a sense of community or belonging to our classroom.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Any other ideas? I see some people said that they liked the idea of using it for an exit ticket or to share ideas or suggestions. That's a great use for Padlet. All right, so that article is great. You can always go back and look at it and try some new things. There are so many ways to use Padlet and it's super easy. So I always like to share ideas from our district. And these are different ways that teachers are using Padlet. So at Coons Intermediate, Miss Wimbish and Miss McKernan, their students, they teach ELA and social studies. Their students had read a book and they had students use Adobe Spark to create a movie poster of the book. And then they posted it on Padlet and they had almost like a virtual gallery walk. So students had to go and look at each other's work. And in Padlet, you can allow feedback. So they allowed students to give each other hearts just for positive feedback that they liked their work. So those are the top ones. The bottom one, Miss Alomar at TC, she used Padlet as her vocabulary quiz. So she had different criteria that she wanted students to do. And they each had a different vocabulary word. And so they had to go in and they had to find an image that represented the word. They had to rewrite the definition in their own words and so forth. But she used Padlet as the platform to do that. It was nice because at the end of that, students had these digital, almost like digital flashcards in a way, as a resource for their vocabulary. And then Miss Dancy Jones over at, I think she's at Inca High School, I think. She used Padlet as a vocabulary word wall. And you can see here, she's got the word, she's got a student-friendly definition, and then she's also got a picture. So those are just a few ways that teachers across the district that teach different grade levels and different subjects are using Padlet in their classroom. All right, so let's talk about how you create a Padlet, okay? So the very first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna open up a new tab and you're gonna go to padlet.com. And I'm gonna exit out of this so I can show you live. And I've already signed up, so mine will look a little different. But if you would do this with me, this would be awesome. So that you leave here signed up for Padlet. So when you go to padlet.com, you'll have a little sign up area, and it's always best to sign in with Google and make sure you're using your BCS email. So if you will go ahead and do that, I'll give you just a minute to get yourself signed up. And then we'll walk through how to make your first Padlet. If you want to indicate in the chat when you're finished signing up, that would be helpful so that I don't hang on to silence too long. All right, thanks, Loretta. Thanks, Anna. Is it, all right, cool. Is there anyone else that we're waiting on? Is everyone good?
That's it.
All right, cool. Okay. All right. So, and your screen may look a little different than mine, but what you're going to do is you're going to look for Make a Padlet. Okay. You should see that somewhere on your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And when you click on that, you have different ways that you can set up your Padlet. And it tells you below in a little description of how you can use it. It's really cool. They recently created the map and the timeline. So those of you that teach maybe social studies, that might, Loretta, you teach social studies, right? Am I thinking, okay, so that might be useful for you as well. So there's different layouts that you can choose. What I chose for the Padlet that you all participated in earlier was the shelf, and that had the different columns. But for today, I'm going to choose a wall, but you choose the one that you think you can use in your classroom. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and choose a wall. So select your layout. And it'll take just a second, and it's going to create it for you. Okay. And I'm going to move you all out of the way so I can see. All right, so you should have a little sidebar over here that you can modify. So here, you're going to go ahead and give your Padlet a title. And I'm going to title mine Exit Ticket because that might be how I want to use it. Loretta, you might want to do Honor Wall if you want to try to create that one today. However you think you want to use Padlet, go ahead and create your title. If I were teaching the classroom, I would put whatever the topic is. So Exit Ticket for percents or whatever it is I was teaching. So here's the description. This is where I put instructions for my students, how I want them to use the Padlet. Okay, so I might say add one big idea from today's lesson. Whoops. Type your name in your post. Okay, post. I cannot today. There we go. So you add what you want your students to do on your Padlet. Now, icon, if you can click here, and it will put a little icon next to where your title is. A lot of times I leave that blank, but I just wanted you to, and there's lots of different ones. So you can choose one that is most meaningful for you, or you don't have to. So right now I have no icon, but let's do, just so you can see. So see where it puts it right next to that title. So you can not do it, or you can do it. It's your choice. As you scroll further down, you can modify the appearance. The way that I typically think about Padlet, and I think Wendy would agree, just from a design perspective, for me, the content is the most important and not really what it looks like. So I like to keep it simple so that it's just not overwhelming. Wendy, what do you think?
Just as I unmuted, the bell went off.
Oh,
Yeah. I was like, wait. Yeah. The busier the background, the harder it can be sometimes for kids to kind of navigate. It distracts them. So a lot of times I end up with like the cork board as the background, or I'm pretty plain.
yeah.
Because you do want the information to be highlighted more than the prettiness of the background.
Yeah. Although it is fun to play with the backgrounds. It really is.
So,
all right.
just keep in mind it's going to get covered up.
Yeah, it is.
The more boring, the easier it is to cover it up.
Yeah, that's true. So if you click on the little arrow, okay, you can go through and you can customize your background. So here's all the pictures that you can use in there. So you can look through those, and some of these are plain. This one's cool right here. So this is an old school chalkboard. So if you do like KWLs, that would be great to do on that one. Here's a map one, here's a blackboard. So there's lots of them here. Okay, I'm gonna go back and show you what else. There's also the solid colors, okay? There's gradients, so it's a little variation in the colors. here's textures and patterns. So here's the cork board that she was talking about. And I think I'm going to choose that one. So I'm going to give you a minute just to kind of look through the different options. And I would love for you to choose one. So the next thing is a color scheme, and I've really not played with this very much. I typically leave it on the white, but you can change it to, Wendy, have you played with this? Because I really haven't played with this color scheme.
I haven't. I think the only difference there is that it makes it a black background with the white. And if you happen to have students with some visual impairments, sometimes the white on black can help, but all mine I leave on the default of white.
And what this changes is the card where students write on, correct?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So,
Yeah,
so I usually leave it as default, but you're certainly welcome to play with that as well.
absolutely.
And you can change the font. And I usually don't. I just leave it as default. But again, it changes the font, what the students would type in.
I'm usually throwing my Padlets together pretty fast, so
Yeah.
I don't decorate them.
Yeah, because again, it's really the content that's important.
Mm-hmm.
So here, posting attribution, if I turn that on, now what will happen if my students are signed in with Google when they go to Padlet, when they post, it should automatically pull in their name inside Google. So that's where that is, okay? This is how it's going to post first and last name, okay? You can change that, right? You can do last name first, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. No. New post position, where to post appear. New post appear, sorry. First or last, at the top or at the bottom. Sorry, I read that wrong. Now, the next one is comments. I typically don't do comments, and you can turn it on to where students can add comments to each other's work. It's that digital citizenship piece. You really have to teach students how to do that appropriately and model that first. And it's not something you would turn on and just assume students know how to do and know how to do it appropriately. So I would be hesitant to turn that on. There are other ways that they can give feedback. But again, that is where you flip that on. I typically use the reactions. And right now, this doesn't allow reactions. So if I click this, I get these options. So I typically start with the likes because it builds class community and it's positive. So there is no negative feedback that students can give each other with the likes. They can go through and heart the information that students have posted if they like it. And it will show them how many likes they've received. So I typically stick with that just because I feel like it's a safe way to do it. And they still get that feedback and that validation. You can add voting where it upvotes or downvotes post. I don't ever do that, but you're certainly welcome to play with it. You can add stars. So again, this is another way that students can give each other feedback. They can give the post 5 stars or 2 stars or 1 star. But again, you'll have to talk to them about what's appropriate. How do if a kid gets a 1 star and was really worth a 5-star. I mean, I don't know if that's helpful for that kid. So you would really have to kind of train them how to do that appropriately. And you can also turn on grading and give numeric scores to post. So these are the different reactions that you can choose. If you think that you would like to turn on comments, you might start out with likes first and kind of scaffold and ease students into allowing them to give comments. That's just my 2 cents. You can also turn this tab on where it requires approval, which I would recommend, so that if you, anything that is posted goes through you first before it's posted. So I would definitely make sure that I turn that on.
Yeah, I would definitely turn that on if you turn on comments.
Yes, yes,
Because that will help students think before they comment that, oh, wait, my teacher's going to see this first.
right. And then I would also turn on the filter profanity as well, which I'm so glad that they added that. That's really nice. So these are the different settings that you can choose from. Are there any questions about these settings? Do you feel okay with these? Okay, so now that we've looked at those settings, if we click next, it's going to say, hey, you're all set. Now people can post, all right? What I do want to show you, and we're going to close out of this, okay, is the share button. How do you share this with your students? Okay, so in the top right, when I choose share, right now it says this Padlet is secret. Nobody can get to it unless they know how to get to it. And visitors or participants can write on it. So if I click change privacy, these are my these are my different sharing options. I can keep it private, so it's hidden from the public. I can password protect it, so if they even find it, there's a password associated with it. So I can also keep it secret, okay? So if I choose to share it, only the people that have the link or whatever can access it, or I can make it public for anyone to access it. So those are the different sharing settings. Typically, I keep mine as Padlet. I'm sorry, I keep it as private or secret. Wendy, what do you typically do?
I do the same. I keep, I think private's the one I usually go off with because I don't want the world to be able to find it and potentially add things. So I like to keep it private, secret, whichever one,
Yeah,
and add it to my LMS so that only my students can get to it.
right.
Or at
So,
least limit the possibility of the outside world getting access.
right. So once you choose your privacy setting, then you go down here to visitor permissions. What can they do with it? If you leave it at read, all they can do is view it. They can't post to it. So these are your choices. They can read it, they can write on it, or they can edit. You don't want them to edit, but you do want them to write on it. So that's the one that you want to make sure that you choose. If you ever have a student emailing you and say, hey, I'm going to the Padlet, but I don't see the pink circle button to add, it means that you need to go back and look at this and make sure that your sharing permissions are can write. All right, so we're going to go back, okay? And it should take you here, okay? Now, how do we share this? There are lots of different ways that you can do that. You can copy the link and you can put it in Google Classroom if that's what you're using, okay? Or you can share it on whatever platform you're using that way. You can put the QR code here where they scan a QR code and they get to Padlet. So that is another way. Or you can embed. So are any of you using Canvas? Okay. Loretta, have you ever embedded inside Canvas? Okay. So this is how you do it. You're just going to copy this information and you're going to go to wherever you're going to place it, a content page, right? You're going to change it to HTML. And then you're going to paste this and you're going to change it back. And that way it'll live inside your Canvas instance. Okay. So it allows you to embed. It also allows you to email, and that is new. I did not see that. Apparently you can share on Google Classroom. Let's see what that does. I bet it tries to sync up with your classroom. Let's see. Alfredo, what are you using? What platform?
I'm using Canvas.
Okay. That's cool. Okay, so that is how you put it in Google Classroom. Cool.
Padlet continues to make updates that make it better and better.
I was just in here yesterday, and I didn't see the share on Google Classroom, so that's awesome. All right, so those are the different ways that you can share Padlet. And then down here, export. So again, we said, remember, Padlet is not free anymore, but you get 3 Padlets for free. You can always go in and remake them so that you don't have to pay, or recycle your Padlets so you don't have to pay $8 each month. But what happens if you want to keep that content that's on that Padlet before you recycle it? You can save the Padlet as an image, okay, or a PDF, CSV, or Excel spreadsheet. So that way you've got that image of the Padlet with the information on it, but you can go back and recreate that Padlet. Wendy, are you there?
I am.
Okay, remind me when they go back to modify a Padlet, like say this is one they've used and they want to reuse it, it's the setting, it's not the actual remake, right?
Right.
Okay.
I think so.
Because I think if you say remake, it'll add that as a new Padlet instead of recycling. It sees it as Padlet number 2 out of your 3 instead of recycling that one Padlet. Does that make sense to everyone?
It copies it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it makes it a new Padlet, and that will count against your 3 Padlets.
Yes.
So what is the information? How do you retrieve the information that you took so you can use it again, that information in your new Padlet? Because you said that you save it, you have options to save it.
Yeah.
So retrieve it again. How can you use it again? So you don't have to create again the new Padlet. You want to use that information, but with students?
Well, yes. So, okay. So say this Padlet was full of information, posts from my students, and I wanted to use this Padlet again, recycle it. But I wanted to keep the content that my students put on here because I needed to remember it. I would probably go to that export down here and save as an image. And then what I would do, Anna, is I would go here to the little settings and see how it opens up all of this again for you. And you can just rewrite.
Right.
So you would just go in and you would click on the post and delete the post so that there's no post in the Padlet, but leave your title and your information, and then you would just reuse it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what happened is that, for example, I have one Padlet that I have a lot of questions that I make for them to answer. Okay, I'm going to recycle. I don't want the answers from them, from the people, so I can use it again.
Yeah. So you would just go, you would go to that Padlet do you see right here the three dots? So I
Right.
would go to my students post, click on the three dots and delete. I would delete all of them.
And use the Padlet again.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Now,
All right.
another piece is that if you are wanting to save the questions, you need to reuse the Padlet, but you're wanting those questions for, let's say, next year's students. If you export it as a spreadsheet, you would be able to copy and paste from the spreadsheet to recreate it next year.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so you're not having to retype.
Yeah.
Right, that's that, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yes, copy paste is our friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm hoping that everyone has created their first Padlet that they can use with their students at this point. Let me go back here. So I'm going to open up back to the presentation. We've done the creation time. I would like to hear, if you don't mind, what you created today and how you, maybe when you're going to use it. You're welcome to share in the chat if you like, or if you want to unmute, that's okay too. Thanks, Loretta. All right, so Anna's going to use it tomorrow. Awesome. Okay, so today what we've done is we've really talked about what Padlet is. We've given you a quick overview. You've been able to use a Padlet as a participant. You've gone through and looked at different ways to use it. And then I'm hoping that you're leaving here with a Padlet that you can use with your students in the next couple weeks. Are there any questions that we have not answered that you still have about Padlet? If you want to unmute or you want to stick them in the chat, that would be great. We want to make sure that you leave here feeling comfortable using this tool because it's just a fabulous tool. You're going to find lots of uses for it.
I just have a question, and it's not for Padlet, it's for the CEUs. You said that we had to answer 3 questions. Are we going to do this? We are going to do this as soon as we finish the presentation, or you're going to send us the link?
So in just a minute, I'm going to put the link for my learning plan in the chat for you. Since you attended this face-to-face, or you don't have to do the quiz. The people that decide next week or the week after that they want to go back and watch the recording of this training.
Oh,
they will have
okay.
to do
All
it.
right.
Yeah. So
All right. Thank you.
yeah, don't sweat. You don't
Okay.
have to do the quiz.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to grab that link real quick. Maybe. All right. We'll stick it in there for you all. Here it is. All right, so I'm going to put this link in here for you all. And if you will take care of that today, I know if I don't do something right then, I forget about it because I get so busy. And we really hope this was helpful and that you utilize this in lots of different ways. It's a fantastic tool that we've been using for a long time. Alfredo, I'm so glad to finally meet you. I've been emailing you and I love your name. So I'm so glad to finally put a face with a name.
Don't tell me you like it because of Alfredo pasta, huh?
Yep, that's it. I just
Okay.
think it's a cool name. So Loretta, thank you so much for being here. And Anna, thank you as well.
Thank you. That was awesome to meet you again. Thank you so much.
Yes. Please reach out if you get stuck at some point. You can shoot us an email or contact your DLF if it's someone different.